Hey, it's Courier Girl, and today I want to talk about how you decide if a job or a route is worth taking or not. Like, what criteria do you use? How do you decide if it's a good deal or a bad deal for you? So when I first got started, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I pretty much took everything that was offered to me. And that was because I was new to the work. I was new to the entire field. I hadn't done any courier work before. And I wanted to make connections, build a good reputation, learn about different types of jobs and types of work through experience. And so I just said yes to everything. And I think that's a good way to get started. Whenever people say they want to get started, I'm like, take every job you can get. Don't worry about what it is. Don't even worry about the money at first. Meet people, make connections in the courier community, run for a few different companies, do some apps like, DoorDash or Uber Eats or Instacart or something, just to really get your feet wet, not just wet, but your feet like in the mud so you know what's going on in the industry. All right. But after that, once you've been at it for a little bit, then it's time to start really evaluating the work before you say yes or no. So here are the things that are important to me. And I just want to give them to you so you can think about them for yourself. Some of them may be more or less important to you. So the first one I want to talk about is money, because you would think that money would be the most important criteria. And don't get me wrong, money is super important. I want money just like everybody else does. There's things I want to do with my life. But what I found is that it's not always the deciding factor. Like, all things being equal, if I'm going to get more money for this job, all things being equal, but then I'm giving you comparison. Okay, if I'm going to get more money for this job, but it sucks, and less money for this job, but it's delightful, I may take the less money sometimes. As long as it's not too big of a difference, because I'm looking for a more quality of life type thing. I'm driving hours and hours a day, sometimes 14 hours a day, and so I darn well better like it, because this is a majority of my life right now. So, okay, money is important, it's a big factor, but it's not the only factor. The next factor that I look at is time for money. So, if I am offered a job for $100 and it's going to take me 2 hours, that's $50 an hour. That's great, that's really good. If I'm offered a job that is $100 that takes 5 hours, now we're down to $20 an hour. And if it takes 10 hours, we're down to $10 an hour. So you have to look at it and say, okay, how much time is this really going to take me? And is it worth it on a hourly basis? Now, in courier work, you're usually, not always, but usually paid by the job, sometimes by the mile, and rarely by the hour. So it's not like apples to apples with a paycheck job where you clock in and clock out. And you get to, through your own actions, have some influence on that, So it may take me 5 hours to do the job. It may take you 4 hours to do the job. It may take somebody else 6 hours to do the job. So you have to start with like your best guess of what you think it's going to take, and then see if there are ways that you can adjust it so that you can get it done quicker and make more per hour. Now, courier companies, usually when they are telling you all about this wonderful new job that they want you to do, they tend to exaggerate on the side of less time rather than more. So I've had people tell me, well, it's scheduled for 7 hours, but you can probably get it done in 6 hours. And I used to believe that when I was new, but now I realize that they're just trying to make it look good. And maybe it can get done in 6 hours or 6.5, but maybe it's really going to be 7 hours, and maybe it's going to be 8 hours. I've had it happen all different ways. For instance, a job that I was doing a couple weeks ago, I was told that it was scheduled to be done at 9:30, but I could probably get it done at 8:30. Well, I couldn't get it done at 8:30 because my last pickup was at 9 o'clock and I couldn't be there early. Like the building, the office was still open and they didn't want me there till 9 o'clock. So there was no way that I ever could have gotten that job done earlier. It just wasn't going to happen. Even if I was really fast, I could be really fast and then I'd have to sit there till 9 for my last pickup. So these types of things are things you don't always know until you get into the job and actually start running it. So estimate the time you think it's going to take, but then realize that once you get into the job, that might change a little bit. There was another job that I did that I was told that it was going to be 6 hours. Well, I ran it, and this is another tip, whenever you get a new route, always run it in the order given, at least at first, because there could be reasons why that is. And I talk to this when I do business consulting. I talk about this with people who are getting new positions. I'm like, don't go into your new position and change everything right away. There are reasons that person did what they did, even though it doesn't make sense to you. So keep things the same for at least the first couple months so you can figure out all the pieces of why things are done in a certain order and then make improvements after that. And I would say the same as a route. Do it at least for a couple weeks. Make sure that you understand why all the pieces fit in the order they fit, at the time slots they fit. And then if you can make improvements, that's when you do that. Okay, so the next thing is time of day. I was given an opportunity for a really great route, but it ran 9 to 11 at night, which meant I would have been getting home at midnight, which would have been fine, except I have to get up at 4 in the morning to do my morning thing. And I couldn't get home at midnight and then get up at 4. It just wasn't working for my schedule. I tried it. I did it for a little while. And then I would take a nap in the afternoon, but it was just not good for my health, for my family, for my body, none of it. So I had to give that one up. So that's another thing to think of is the time of day. How does it fit in with your lifestyle, with your family, with your spouse, your kids? You know, even your dog. Does your dog need to go out and can't stand for you to be gone 15 hours a day? So these are all things to think about when you're deciding if a job is worth it. And sometimes because of the time of day, it just doesn't work for you. Now, another thing I want to say about that is, let's say you get a route at, that is in the evening, not going to get done until midnight, and you have to get up early in the morning, but it's an amazing route and the pay is good and the work is great and you really want to do it. Well, then it's time to think about, well, do I give up that? Do I pass on this route or do I give up that morning route? So I've said in other videos, don't ever be married to any particular job or route. And, that applies here too, because if you get a really great deal, but it means giving up another deal that you're familiar with and comfortable with, you have to be willing to do that sometimes in order to advance your goals in the industry. Okay, my voice is kind of froggy today, huh? All right, so the next thing that I want you to think of is the type of work it is. So I'm not in my 20s anymore. I can't be hauling around 50-pound boxes all day long. Now, I can do it every once in a while. Like I filled in for an auto parts route, maybe a month ago, and I had some pretty heavy batteries that I had to carry. And I did it, and it was okay, but I couldn't do that every day on a route. I'm just not that anymore physically. So you have to look at, can I do this type of work every day on a daily basis? And really just be honest with yourself. And if you can and you want to and it all fits in, then yes, that works. And if you can't, then you have to pass on that route, because you're going to be miserable if you're just pushing your body to the point where it can't handle it. Now, on the other end, I know somebody who, if all they have is little like envelopes to carry or a couple specimens or really lightweight work, they don't like that either. They like a more physical type job. And so they ended up doing a route that is more like, not pallets, but like dollies, like hand trucks full of heavy boxes, and they're hauling them in and out of buildings all day long, and they like that physical exertion. But that's a younger person, and it's a guy. So, and I don't mean to be like, oh, this is for men and this is for women, but in general, for the most part, men can do heavier work than women can, and sometimes they enjoy it more. So that's something to think about, is the type of work. Another thing to think about is the type of driving that it is. Sometimes I like to have the type of job where I drive 4 hours to drop off a load and then I come back. One drop off, one pickup, one drop off, but it's like far away. Then other times I prefer something that is a whole bunch of stops. Like I may only go around town. I may still drive 100 miles or more, but only around town. And I might have 20 stops, picking up, dropping off. So you have to look at your personality, what you like, and also how many stops it is compared to how much the money is. So that brings me back around to the money you're getting for the work you're doing. So if it's not a lot of driving and not many stops, you're probably going to make more money. Theoretically, if it's a bunch of stops or a bunch of miles or a combination of both, it should be more money. If you can use a car to do it, then it's usually a little bit less money. If it requires a van, either a minivan like mine or a full-size van, because of the volume of work, you should get paid more money. You should get paid more money for a van than a car, partly because it usually means bigger, heavier loads, partly because vans do not get as good of gas mileage as cars do for the most part. They cost more to maintain. The tires are more, the maintenance is more. The wear and tear on your vehicle is going to be more. So typically a van route or run should pay more than a car. So make sure that you talk about that with the person offering you the job. If it requires a van and you have a van, then you should get paid more. Now, if it's a car route, but you're driving a van, so you're going to take your van because that's what you have, don't expect to get paid more for, a van rate because you're only, because it would fit in a car. You could drive a car if you wanted to. So that is another factor that's going to affect how much a route pays and if it's worth it to you. So, okay, putting those things all together. So I look at the amount that I'm being offered. I look at the amount of time they tell me it's going to take. And I asked, how much is this scheduled for and how much time do you think it will really take? And I usually go more by what the schedule time is than what they think, if their estimate is much less. Then I think about the time of day it is. Honestly, anymore, if I'm going to be going out in the evening to work at night, I need to be paid more because that's taking my evening away. I like to have my evening at home. And at first I didn't care, but now it's more important to me to have time with family, just time to get stuff done, to relax a little bit, and to not have to be out late and then get up early. So that's important to me, the time of day, the whether it's a lot of stops or just a few stops. And I'm actually fine either way. But for fill-in work, if I'm just doing a one-time thing, like I'm filling in for somebody, or this is like a one-off order, I prefer to have fewer stops because for me, when I'm unfamiliar, every additional stop you give me is going to take me a little bit longer because I'm figuring out how to do it. Like, where's the lockbox? Where's the office I go to? You know, sometimes the GPS doesn't take you to the right place. So to have fewer stops means fewer chances for errors that add time to my day. So there's that. And then there is the kind of a route it is. Can this really fit in a car? Because, you know, I drive a minivan, so, and my minivan gets great mileage, so I consider it kind of more of a car in a lot of ways. But I think to myself, is this really a car run or a van run? If you're going to load up the back of my van and I could not stick it in my car, it's a van route and I need to be paid a little bit more. So those are all the things that I think about. Now, if it's a new route and I'm on the fence about it, I will probably take it. And then after a week, you know, I'll pay attention. I'll write notes about how many miles I went, like even more detailed notes in my mileage log. How the stops went. Are there ways that I think I can make it more efficient? And after a week, I'll evaluate it and I'll say to myself, okay, this is what I got paid. Is this working for me? And if not, I'll go back and negotiate the price with the person I'm working with, or I'll just say, you know what, this isn't working for me. I need to find something else. So anyway, those are my thoughts about how to evaluate whether or not you should take a job. I hope you found them helpful. And if you have any questions or comments or things that you think about, put them in the comments below and we will have a conversation about it. All right, gotta get back to my route for the day. Actually, I'm done with one. I'm going to start another one soon, and I will see you on the road.